Alright fam, today I'll be unboxing what might be the best mid-price bait casting reels for beginners. The Daiwa 2020 Tatula SV TW103. Wow, what a freaking long name. But anyway, this reel came out fall of 2020, so it's still relatively a new bait casting reel in the market. And this would be my first Versatile Finesse Baitcasting Reel. And we'll talk a little bit more about that term later within this video. But let me tell you guys what this video is going to cover. This is going to be an unboxing video, so I'm going to show you guys a couple angles of this reel plus my observations. We'll go over the specs and the features of this reel. Then I'm going to jump into why I believe that this is going to be a very good reel for beginners. And then lastly, I'll wrap up this video with letting you guys know what I'll be doing in the near future with this reel. Sexy new reel. A lot of things happening, guys. Are you guys excited? Because I am. Ooh, that is super sexy. Very smooth. This thing spins for like forever. All right. Oh, that's interesting. This is like a graphite. It's not like the higher end reels like the raWr TW, which I have right here. Let me show you guys right now. They have something they call Zion Star Drag. You can see it's glossy. It's very light. I don't know if it's the same material. Maybe it's just painted over, but this is just like plain old graphite. Composite graphite, something like that. It's like those old casting Speed Demon reels, but it is light and it will keep this reel light. That's pretty cool. All right. T-wing system, which we'll talk about later. It's pretty well built. Oh, interesting. So this thing has a zero adjuster, which we'll talk about the feature later, but let me put this next to the mic. There is a little wiggle. I don't know if Daiwa tuned it that way for some reason, but the zero adjuster is supposed to be no movement. Interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about later, but since we're talking about a zero adjuster, let's take a look at the tension knob. Love that freaking spider on that freaking knob right there. Freaking beautiful. Another spider right there. Interesting. Very smooth, soft rubber handles, just like any other Daiwa reels that they have. Yep. Cool. Anyways, hope you guys have absorbed this reel already because it looks freaking sexy. Let's go over the specs. In fact, why don't we look at the box for a second? I got the SV TW103 XSL. L stands for left hand reel. As you see, it's left hand reel. The XS, I believe it indicate that this is going to be their fastest reel. They have 3 speeds. They have the 8, 7, and 6. And being me, Jimbo, I love fast reels, so I got the fastest one. This reel is actually on the Tatula 100 chassis, so it's small and it's light. It's 6.7 ounce. Its predecessor, the Tatula SV, is actually on a bigger chassis and just a little bit heavier. But yeah, having this smaller form reel, I really like it. It feels really good, at least to my hands. Anyway, 11 pounds drag. Back to the speed again. 8.1 to 1 gear ratio will give us approximately 31.9 inch per rotation. And then some ball bearings right there. All right. Line capacity. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that this is somewhat a smaller capacity spool, not BFS level. It's a Versatile Finesse. Versatile Finesse basically allows you guys to do the higher end bait finesse, or you could use it like a workhorse. Yeah, that is actually a quote from Xander from Taco. I actually read his review before I even decided to purchase this as my first Versatile Finesse, and he's pretty impressed with it, so I actually can't wait to try it. But anyway, yep, line capacity here. I lightly put braid. So there's actually something cool that doesn't say on this box or the Daiwa USA website, and I'll show you guys in a bit. But let's just go through the features of this. First thing on the list was the TWS, which is their T-wing system. If you guys not familiar with T-wing system, it's this crazy looking like T-shaped line guide right there. When you actually hit the thumb bar, that thing goes down. So unlike the typical bait casting reel, they have a stationary line guide when you hit the thumb bar, right? And the line shoots out, and if your line guide is all at one end and your line's all at the other end, it actually creates an angle. The angle is rubbing on that line guide, and it actually creates friction, and that should reduce your casting distance, which is bad. So Daiwa developed this right here, so when you actually want to cast, hit the thumb bar, it this thing goes down, you can see there's a wide spot so that it's not going to create any sort of rubbing while it's dispensing line. And when you guys reel, it goes back in place so it could help manage and organize and stack those lines very neatly onto your spool for the next cast. The next thing on the box, UT Drag, Ultimate Tournament Drag. So that's basically their way of saying that they use very high quality drag gears, especially like larger carbon drag discs, to achieve their 11 pounds of drag. Now, jumping back to Tackle Tour, when I read up on their review, they have some sort of an indoor testing, and they said that this reel, the drag is closer to like 13 point something pounds. So it says 11 here, but I will expect that it's actually stronger. For a finesse reel, I think 11 is more than enough for me. And even if I were to use it at the the workhorse level, I think 11 pounds would be good enough. Like I just got the Tatula Elite. In fact, I should have the box here. Ta-da-da, look at that. That is also 11 pounds of drag, likely closer to 13 because I also have the UT drag. Anyways, enough about the Elite. If you guys want to check out that video, you guys check out top right hand corner. The next thing is where the money is at, the SV concept. All right, so yeah, the explanation for this is going to be a little long. So let's do this. SV concept actually is two parts. You have spool, lightweight spool, and a different braking system than the traditional, you could say, first gen MagForce Z. What is MagForce Z? Well, let's start with the braking system first, all right? So let me just open this up and show you guys the MagForce braking system. So MagForce braking system is not just a magnetic braking system, but it's actually a hybrid of centrifugal braking. If you guys are not familiar with that, basically it's a braking that's on a spool and side plate, and when it spins very fast, using centrifugal force, pins will rub against the side plate, and that will slow down your reel. Well, this spool right here, okay, and let me pull this out safely. You can see this inductor cup here, and when you actually cast out, this will shoot out like centrifugal force, right? And it'll go into here where the magnets are placed, and basically it exposes the spool to more magnets when it's necessary, and it will retract when it's not needed. So as you see, it's on the off position when you first cast. So it actually starts off with very, very little brakes. Okay, whatever you guys set the brakes to, you guys could put from 0 to 20. 20 means more brakes, which means it'll be closer to the spool. So it'll start off with more brakes, right? But anyway, most people will have it lower than 20. So yeah, the startup right here is going to be less brakes, and when it hits the maximum speed, it'll shoot out and use more of the brakes. So what does that actually do? Well, this actually allows you to achieve longer casting distance, because when you first cast, you don't have as much force slowing the spool down. It also allows you to cast lighter lures because, again, there's less restriction on the initial cast. And then it'll shoot out when it needs to, controlling the spool speed, reducing backlashes, and when it slows down enough, this thing actually pops back down, and it'll be less resistance again, so it could finish the cast, so it has a longer cast. Crazy, eh? But anyway, that was explanation for the Gen 1. It actually goes on and off. That's really it. The Gen 2, which is the SV, right? This thing actually rotates. You see this? Let me rotate it for you. When I rotate it, I'll put it on a better angle. See that? See how when you rotate it, it goes out, and you rotate it, it goes back down. So as mentioned earlier, the old style Gen 1, it goes in and out only. But for the SV concept, it'll go out, and when it slows down, it actually slowly come back down. That is pretty cool, hey? So for the Gen 1, it just go in and out, so it's on and off. But with this little ramp right here where it twists in and out, that will allow it to go out or come back in a more smoother manner. It won't be a sudden on or sudden off. So by doing this, this braking system has become way more dynamic, and you have better control braking, which means better casting distance, as well as casting further with less effort. That is key, all right? And the second half of the SV concept is a very, very light spool. This spool is actually very light. In fact, why don't we weigh it? This is using aluminum, aero-grade aluminum. So it's not only light, it's strong. All right, so that's on grams. It should be under 13, 12.8 as you see. And let me pull out the Tatula 100. This is using the regular Gen 1 mag force braking system. And let me show you guys, 17.3. Yes, this spool is actually a little bit bigger. This is a size 34, whereas the SV is size 32, but it's not much smaller. SV concept, light spool plus an amazing braking system together. Bam! This is what makes this reel awesome, the SV concept. So last feature on the box says air rotation. That is basically this right here. Ready? Very, very smooth. And they achieve this by, and this is what they say, that they use very high precision digital computer to cut the gears, so it's gonna line perfectly, fit and achieve this buttery smooth reeling. In addition, there are double bearing pinion support, so it will be smooth for a very, very long time, especially when you guys hauling some fish in some thick cover. This is definitely a workhorse since it has that double bearing pinion support. And let me go over some other features that's not on the box. I think it's actually pretty cool. So this reel is actually sporting the zero adjuster. We talked a little bit about it earlier. So what does that mean? So this reel right here, all you're supposed to do is adjust the braking system. That's it, nothing else. It's supposed to be pre-tuned where the spool is very, very little tension. And it's not supposed to have side-to-side play. Perhaps they put this in a factory very long. I don't know. I have no idea why it's a little loose. Maybe they messed up on some QC. I have no idea. But if you guys ever have this issue, because believe it or not, I'm gonna tighten this so there's no side-to-side play, right? But with a lot of casting and reeling, who knows if it's gonna have some sort of wear and tear and you might have a little loose spool. So all you have to do is loosen up your tension knobs, then you feel this side-to-side play, right? And you slowly tighten it until you don't have that side-to-side play. And guys, zero adjuster, they have this little thing that's popping out right here, so it's like not much room to even spin this dial. I keep hitting the drag star, and one more time, just a little bit more. There we go. That's it. So yeah, guys, it's not broken. If you guys have just a little wobble, just tighten it just a little bit and it should be good to go. So this thing does have aluminum body, but only, I believe, around the gearbox. This black part right here around that zero adjuster, that's aluminum. But everything else, the side plate, is pretty much plastic, mixed plastic and aluminum. And I think they've done it to help reduce weight for a small reel of the size Tatula 100. You definitely want some lighter weight, but they don't want it full plastic because it's gonna feel really cheap. And if you are gonna be hauling fish out of thick cover, that might create a little torque on the reel and warp it a little bit. So yeah, having the aluminum body will be pretty good. Of course, Jimbo is gonna be finesse fishing with this, so I don't think I will have any issue at all. The last thing I want to show to you guys is this little line right here on a spool. See that line right there? I'm gonna change the angle just a little bit. That is actually the midpoint spool. So if you guys are using thin braid, and if you guys want to fish the finesse side out of this reel and throw like the higher spectrum of BFS lures, Daiwa Japan actually recommended that you use thin braid and fill up to that line only, so you don't put too much weight on a spool. Because if you throw in light lures anyway, you're not going to spoil yourself, right? So instead of maxing out the line, you just reduce it to just half capacity, keeping the weight low, allowing you guys to cast lighter lures easier and more accurate. So that's pretty cool. All right, guys, so I've gone through the specs. So now I'm going to tell you guys why I think that this is the best reel for beginners. There's really just two features, and I just talked a lot about them, that makes this a perfect reel for beginners. And that is the SV concept and the zero adjuster. Let's start with the easier part, the zero adjuster. A lot of times when I watch YouTube videos, I look up how to configure a bait casting reel, or you look at some manuals like Casting. They have some manuals on how you would configure your bait casting reels. And I believe Shimano had some too. I remember my first Shimano reel way in the back in the day, and they have instructions on how to configure the bait casting reel, and they're always about you tighten your tension knob all the way down, then you do this, you do that, and then you let the lower floor fall down freely, and it got to hit the floor, and it shouldn't overspool, blah blah blah. Yeah, that was a very, very bad tutorial. You know, you follow the instructions, you cast, it's not gonna give you any distance. There's a lot of resistance, so if you throw light lures, it's not even gonna work. And then they don't give you instructions on how you can fine tune your casting. They say, you know, just fiddle with the tension, you fiddle the brakes, and good luck, right? Yeah, that's not good at all. So the zero adjuster really eliminates the necessary need for configuring tension spool. And believe it or not, guys, these days, especially with all those magnetic braking system, if you guys want to cast distance, I would configure all my reels, like my casting reels. If you guys ever watch my videos for casting like a magnetic braking system from their bait casting lineup, what I do is I put the tension knob all the way down so you hear the wobble left and right. Then I slowly tighten it so that you don't get the wobble. And I just put the brakes at 70% and go cast, right? And when I get used to that reel and the lures and everything, I will lower it down to maybe 50% and I achieve great casting distance. Well, technically, you could do that with any reel, but if you guys are really, really, really bad at it, well, Daiwa does it better because they have already played around with the braking system and ensured that that works. Now, yes, I said you could actually do that with casting reels or any other bait casting reel, but you don't really know if those reels are really truly tuned for that. But we know that any Daiwa reels that says it sports the zero adjuster, then you know that they went through a hell of a lot of QC in order to ensure that feature works. And owning 3 of their bait casting reel that has it so far, I have to say it does work. Zero adjuster, really, really good for beginners. So the SV concept, you know, a lot of people don't really know that bait casting reels have different sizes. Different size bait casting reels would dictate weight ranges they could throw. I post a lot of bait casting reels on my Instagram, you know, on Facebook and stuff like that. People are always like, what's up with the shallow spool? Oh, you can't put more than 10 yards of line in that. Okay, you guys definitely don't know what BFS reels are. But anyway, that's my point, right? Even the people out there who are already using bait casting reels, they don't know that there are different size bait casting reels. And as a beginner, would you know which bait casters to get? You know, what if someone else got the Tatula 200, you know? That's a big spool, holds a lot of line. But will it cast all the lures they need? You know, I don't think so. I think they'll get frustrated because they'll freaking realize that they cannot throw light lures at all. You know, it's a big reel made to throw big baits. And that's why I think this reel, having the SV concept, will be great for beginners because this is a versatile finesse bait casting reel. You could use this to throw light lures or you could use it to throw heavier lures. So having one reel will solve all that problem, all that headache. And with the braking system from Daiwa, the angler will not worry about all that backlash. So these are the 2 reasons why I think that this reel is a good reel for beginners, but you may say the price isn't beginner friendly. Sure, this reel is not a budget entry-level reel. This is a mid-price reel at $199.99. Definitely not a budget reel for beginners, but if you are a serious angler and you want to get into learning bait casting reels, you should not be using a cheap reel in the first place unless you guys are truly on a budget, right? Because most likely, if you guys are an avid angler and you guys want to, you know, get into using bait casters, what's going to happen is you're going to spend money on, let's say, an entry-level reel, a budget reel, and you quickly found that you don't like it, and you spend more money anyway to buy a better reel. You add the 2 together, guess what? It's probably be more than $200, which is why I say, look, you get one and done. Well, not one and done, because guess what? Once you buy your first bait casting reel, you'll be buying a lot more, especially for different setups. But I want to say that having this reel here, because it's so versatile, you're technically going to be end up buying more rods before buying more reels because you'll be playing around with different setups. So how will I use this reel? As a finesse angler, I love to throw a lot of ultralight lures on BFS reels, such as this sexy Daiwa Alphas Air TW. Yeah, check that out, eh? Super shallow. I have the chameleon spool on it, by the way. But anyway, this video is not about this. But I do want to say that sometimes I want to throw some of these heavier lures on the higher spectrum. Let's say, you know, 5 grams, maybe 6 grams, or heck, even 8 grams. And I want to throw it in heavier line, especially for snakehead fishing or some bass in some thicker cover. I want some finesse lures, but I don't want to throw it in thin line. Well, if I put thicker line on my BFS reels like these, I won't have any distance at all because there is no capacity for that. So therefore, I have opted for this guy here. I could put some thin braid line on here, of course, to that midpoint line, or potentially just a little bit more, because Jimbo like to throw a lot of various lures at different weights. But yeah, Jimbo gonna play around with it and try to find my own sweet spot. But primarily, I'm throwing light lures for bass and snakeheads. Now, I also have purchased a BFS spool. That's right, another chameleon spool. This is the size 32, as you see here, and I've purchased a different one for this one here, and I also bought another one on my Tatula 100, which is why you can see that I have the Tatula 100 spool laying around. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening with this reel. I think what I'll do is I'm just gonna fish this out of box first for a couple months, and during the fall, I would do some cast testing with this awesome new BFS spool. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this unboxing video. If you guys are excited to see videos for this reel, make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel and make sure you guys have the bell notification turned on. I have left some affiliate links in the description below to where you could buy this sexy reel. Of course, it's from Discount Tackle. And if you guys are interested in seeing me test this BFS spool earlier than fall, make sure you guys smash that like button and leave me in a comment below and let me know so that I could reprioritize my content creation. Thanks for watching, guys. The fish don't wait, so y'all better get on the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see. Peace out.